Hello everybody, Edge back here again, and it's mail time today. This one's going to be from ImpulseRC. Got one here from Race Day Quads. Got another one here from Cyclone FPV, and let me tell you, they're a lot of help and they got some really good products on their line. I do plan on purchasing more items from them as well too. So all great companies, nothing from Rotor Riot today, but we'll get into this and we'll open these boxes up. So first one I'll open up is the ImpulseRC one. Oh, looks like I got one more line to go here. Alright. As you can see, it's going to be the Alien Micro. That's how it's packaged up. Nice. It does come with the extra files and the arms. When I first ordered it up, they said that they're on back order. They're still saying that they're on back order, so they might not be able to get these right away. And it did come with a free set of props. That was pretty cool. It's even the right color that I wanted too. Don't even remember asking for those part of it. They must send them out with these all the time. Pretty cool. And of course Mentos so I can freshen my breath. Next one we'll open up is from Race Day Quads. Let's see what we got in here. Alright, so a nice little free strap, kind of a shorter one. Not sure what I'll use that one for. I like how they have the sticky grip on it though, those are kind of nice. And then we got the AKK FX3 Ultimate, and we went with the Mamba Mini Tower. So I'm excited about that one. Should be a pretty good one. I've seen a few reviews on it and everybody seems to like them quite a bit. Plus it's Mamba power, so Diatone series. And then the Cyclone FPV. Let's see what we got in here. I'll just do this. It's nice when you have a nice sharp knife for that kind of stuff. Pull it out. Alright, some Cyclone FPV stickers. And alright, so these are the motors I'm going to be running. Same one that I ran on the X-Hover Wind 3. Yeah, 1407 3600 kV motors. They've been good on that little 3-inch X-Hover, and that one's going to be a racing one. This one's going to be more of a freestyle one, so I'm excited to try it. That frame is tiny. I was not expecting it to be that small, but should be good. Comes with a little nice battery strap or battery pad there, so that'll be pretty good. But yeah, so that's all I got for today, but that's what we're going to be putting in there. I'm also going to be putting in a Arrow, Foxy Arrow, kind of a little short on money, so that's what's going to be put in there. But excited to see, you know, props to come with it too. That's pretty cool. 3x4x3 V1S light purple HQ durable props. I think I got everything I need to put this thing together. Thanks again Cyclone FPV for sending me that out and making sure that I get my parts. So they did a really good job with customer service on that. I will greatly appreciate it. So before I build this and kind of show you what's going on here, just so I can kind of move on, I wanted to show you that this kit's kind of cool. It comes with 2 different sizes of standoffs like this, so you can either use the longer screw like that or the shorter screw like that. So I chose to use the shorter one on it, and what I've done is I took one of the shorter standoffs, this one here, and I put one in between there with one of the washers, the white washers that it comes with, which if you look at it on here, you can see that there's a little indentation across around the top part here to make the 3mm hole basically centered on it. So I used that so it still stays centered on it, and then come up through with the, like I said, with the smaller screw. So it's just basically this one here, the shorter one, and then this screw. And if you look at the bottom of the plate here, countersunk inside there. So that's supposed to be going actually down. So if you notice on the top here, the nut that's supposed to be pulled down into the carbon fiber itself is on the top of this piece here. So that's going to be the top piece for the flight controller stand, I guess you would call it, where it's countersunk like that. That actually goes down so these heads can fit in there. Now if you really wanted to, and this isn't going to work for you, you want to use a button head style, you could still put it on the top, on the back here, where the countersunk part would be on the bottom, and you should have enough space between the arm for it to fit. But then the spacer here would actually fit down inside there and bring it down more. So that is one other option, but this is the way that I did it, so I can actually go ahead and fit the 2-stack on top of that. And then if you noticed here, for my standoffs, I changed out the original standoffs that came with this flight controller and used the rubber 2mm standoffs. So that way when I put this together, the flight controller is going to be, you know, soft mounted, along with these being soft mounted as well. And then I'll do the regular plastic standoffs like this over the top of that part of it, and then the VTX will fit right over the top of that, and all three of those will fit inside that frame if you do it in this particular order. I did have to cut off the tops of these just a tiny bit, so yeah, they are cut off just a little bit off the top part of it so I can fit the nut on top of that section of it as well. So that's how I set up the stack on this one, so you can fit a 3-stack inside of the cage itself. I will go ahead and show you how the rest of the frame goes together, and we will get started on the rest of this, getting everything soldered up and ready to go. So the first thing you want to do on this frame is you want to put it on the ESC, so you can at least get to these screws and screw them together. Once you get it set in there the way that you want and how much spacing you want, you can see it's just barely touching the bottom here. So that should be fine, shouldn't hurt it any. I can't push it any more than that, so everything feels pretty solid on there. But the countersunk screws are going to go towards the back, so the farther back it goes is where it should go. That's what I'm seeing on the frame build that I'm seeing on ImpulseRC. So it will go towards the back. The cutouts on the bottom of the plate here are for the camera, so it goes back as far as possible there. So the next thing you're going to do is put on the arms itself, and if you notice there's two different cuts on here. So you got your short cut and your long cut. So the way I'm kind of trying to say it is, like if this was the front left arm or front right arm, this shorter part goes towards the other arm. So same way on the bottom, the shorter part goes towards the other arm. So when you put these in, you're just going to make sure that that's lined up on the center part there. And they do have the button head type screws that go in here on a little sheathing type deal, similar to what's on the Reverb. And so you'll just go ahead and slide that through the hole, get her lined up. That's the bottom there as well, and into your countersunk nut, however you decided to put it in. It is a 2mm Allen, so we'll screw that down. Of course, not all the way, just a little bit. Then we'll go ahead and put the next arm on. And again, short side goes towards the other arm, so this one's going to go in like that. So put that in there like so. Get the other screw and line her up. Just like that. Go ahead and tighten that one up just a tiny bit. We'll go on with the next one. Again, on the bottom here. So this one's going to go like that into there. Get it lined up. Pop her on through. And at this point, you're going to want to try to get these lined up the best you can first. So once you get that last arm in there, they pretty much kind of lock into place. We'll get that screwed in there. And then your last one, again, short end goes towards the other arm. Like so. And we're off just a tiny bit on this. And lined up like that. They really lock into place, so you have to get these things just right for it to fall through there. There it goes. That's what I love about ImpulseRC's frames, is they all lock into place really well. So then we can go ahead and tighten those up the rest of the way. Just like that. And that's the build of the frame basically. And as far as the camera mounts go, you notice on here, let's see if I can get a good backlight on here. So these have 2 notches on the top and 1 notch on the bottom. So the 1 notch on the bottom goes into the only notch that's on the bottom of here. And then if you notice on the top plate here, it has 2 notches for the camera mount. So those 2 will line up into there when you're ready for that part of it. And everything will just kind of bolt into place. So your plate should look like that for the camera mount when you get it bolted in. So I'm not quite ready for that part of it, but yeah, it's a pretty tiny frame. And we'll get the motors on here and get everything soldered up onto here with the XT60 connection is what I'm going to use. It comes with an XT30 for the ESC, but all my batteries have XT60, so I'm just going to go ahead and use that. It's a little extra weight, but I don't have any batteries that have XT30s, and I'm not willing to actually trade them over to XT30s. So, and I'll be running 4S or 3S on this one as well too, so should be fine. But 20 amp ESC, so we will go ahead and get the motors on here, get the wires cut to length and set up on here. After you finish up your solder joints to the motors on the ESC, I kind of jumped ahead a little bit here, but I've routed the wires from the receiver up through this section and around, and I also have an LED on the bottom here which comes up and through and around to this other side here to these ports, so I can't really lift the board up as much as I wanted to after I got that part of it done. But the XT60 or XT30 connection that you're going to do on the back of it, this capacitor fits underneath here pretty well. All I've done is just kind of soldered it to the pads here and then heat shrunk it around the wire so it'll hold in place, and it's in there pretty good. I don't have any issues moving the wire and stuff like that around. It still holds up pretty well. But so after you get those done, then basically the flight controller goes next, and I jumped ahead so I could show you each one of the ports. Now, when I did this wiring for the receiver, I just kind of went around my rubber standoff there and kind of tucked them up underneath, and then it just fits right over the top like that. So then I can put my other standoffs on here, and then I'll show you what ports go where. So once you get the standoffs in here, there's not really a whole lot left to solder up. Your header from your ESCs goes right into that socket there, and that's it on that part. And then the wire connections here, so I'm going to zoom in just a little bit so we can see this a little better. So I found when I was soldering these pads up that it's actually, they're so close together that it's easier to just go ahead and solder every one of them and then just kind of wipe off the excess in between them, and then that way you can solder each pad on. So on here we have the camera 5 volt is all I did on that one, and then negative. There's actually two negatives. This first one is negative and this one is negative, and then this one is a video in, out from the camera. The next ones here is to the VTX, which is your smart port here, and then your video in into the VTX, and then after that you have RXSR that I have under here. So let's see, I think it's, yeah, so it's negative, positive, and then I think it goes 3.3 volt and ppm port, and then S-bus port there. And then my smart port is way over here on TX6. And as far as the video power, this is one that can handle up to 30 volts. So I went positive and negative out to the two terminals that you can plug in your XT60 or XT30 into if you're not using this type of ESC. So that's basically all there is to the soldering part of it. And this wire hanging out right here is for a buzzer, which I have not hooked up, and I'll probably just emulate it through the motors since I'm not going to have a battery powered buzzer backup, so if it comes unplugged it's not going to work anyway. But yeah, it fits into a nice pretty tight package like that. So the RXSR fit right behind the back here pretty well, and everything fits in there pretty nicely, and everything still moves around just good. So it soft mounted in there very nice. So the camera connection can just come up, and it goes just basically about right here, and that's about perfect how you need it, just like that. So we'll go ahead and slap this back part on here, and what I did with the antenna leads is I just kind of went up and around the back of the power cables for the battery and just did it like that. And then this had an extra one of these, and if they pinch almost all the way down like that, it fits onto these just perfect. Still has your antenna tubes at a 90-degree angle, and able to put on this. I mean, this is all I had right now. I do want to put a stubby on here at one point in time, so this is a little bit back heavy that way. I would suggest a smaller one, or some of the new X2s would probably work pretty good, but it is a MMCX connection, so I know it's not going to come undone that way. And then we can just kind of wrap our wires around here, get them in there just perfect, and settle that thing down like that. And then I can slide these wires in. And those are set on the back and in the tubes through the back here without a problem. Now I can put the rest of the top plate together like my configuration shows you earlier in the video. Just put these little O-rings with the indented side down so it lines it up on the bottom part of it. And I just kind of hold it down, push it down a little bit, and try to get each one of these nuts on here one at a time. So once you get all the nuts on the top of it there, that's basically everything in there ready to go, and we should be able to just fire it up from there. This is the first time I've ever used an AKK VTX, and I like it so far. I mean, the way it mounts in here, and the button configurations right there, so it's set up pretty well, and it does have a microphone already on it, so the smart audio that I'm using for control will still control the board and still get audio on here as well too. So I can still use my Lewis grips on here, and I mean it's got everything that a normal quad would have, so I'm really happy with the way it's turned out so far. The last thing to put in would be the camera, and I just kind of slide it down into place here and plug her on in. And I'm using a Foxeer Arrow just to save a little bit of money on this one. The total cost for all these parts, from what I can tell so far, is about 230 bucks. So not too bad for a 3-inch quad. Just slide that puppy right in there. And get it down into the slots there, like so. And I will have a list of all the parts that I used on this particular build, so if you want to do it in the same manner. Really not too expensive of a quad, really, so I'm kind of happy with it. Now the strap, I am using the small one that I got for free through the kit. It's just perfect for 3S and these little micro 3S batteries that I decided to use. They're just cheapy ones, but you know, for 450 milliamps and lightweight, I can really see how this thing flies. But I'll be using 3 and 4S batteries on this anyway, so once you get that set down in there, then we can go ahead and put the rest of the top plate screws in. There we go, all complete. So I did everything in that little tiny package, and I think it turned out pretty well. Nothing's hanging out, no wires are really exposed, nothing really showing. Like I said, it came up with that LED on the bottom, straight up through the bottom, up through the side here, and then right up to the sides. And yeah, worked out pretty well. So it looks good. I did put these little pads on the bottom here so I wouldn't be scraping up the bolts and stuff here, but they're just little square cutoffs from my ImpulseRC Alien Mr. Steel kit. Actually came with those in it, and I didn't use them for that build, but yeah, works out pretty good. So let's see what the weight is on this sucker. So just by itself like that, looks like 159 grams. Just to make sure. Yep, 159. So this is one of the reasons why I wanted to use one of these smaller batteries, but slap that on there. We're at 254, or sorry, 204. And throw some blades in there. And your all up weight's going to be 212 with this setup like this. And again, if I had a stubby on there instead of this, you know, it'd probably be around the 200 mark or whatnot. But we're still sub 250, so can't complain there. And I have a feeling it's going to run pretty smooth. With a normal 3S battery, so this is a 1500 milliamp battery, we're at 291. So let's throw these props in the front here, or in the back, all over. So $299 with props and everything with that kind of battery, and then for a 4S build we're at $324, so that brings us over the top of the 250 era. But you know, with the 4S, I'm sure this thing would fly for a pretty long time, especially at 100C. And so I'm excited to try all three of those batteries and see what we can come up with. But 324 really isn't too bad for these. And again, if I took some weight off of this, we might be closer to the 250 mark, even with the 4S battery on it. But yeah, that's the build portion of this, and so now it's time to go out and test it. I'll probably end up just hover testing it in the backyard, but I'll try to get you some footage on here as well too. But if not, it's mainly because our weather's been pretty bad, lots of snow, so I don't really want to get this thing that wet. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the build. Again, I'll have the components all listed below in the description, and hope you liked the video. Thanks. First Maiden test flight on the Alien Micro. We'll give it a shot and see how it works, and I'll get to fly it when I get a chance, when there's not so much water and moisture on the ground. But here you go, guys.